Welcome, and thank you for being with us tonight for the Candidate Forum for Berkeley City Council District 4 Special Election. I'm Helen Hutchison of the League of Women Voters of Oakland. The League of Women Voters is a trusted membership organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. We do not endorse or oppose candidates or political parties. For decades, we have offered fair and balanced candidate forums. The League participates in both advocacy and voter education. In the advocacy arm of the League, we may take positions on issues, such as in ballot measures. This forum is presented by the education arm of the League. I'd like to remind everybody that the candidates have all agreed to participate under the ground rules set for this forum. The League is very proud of our history of civil discourse and nonpartisan forums. This is an educational event and not a debate. Before we get started, there are some details to review that will help you interact with this session. Microphones are muted for everyone except the candidates and the moderator. Video images will show the candidates and the moderator. Candidates will stay on screen for the entire forum and will mute themselves until it's their turn to speak. Chat has been turned off for attendees. This forum is being live cast on Comcast Cable Channel 33. In addition, we are recording this forum and will be posting it on our website and social media, such as YouTube, for the broader community to access. There is one forum to present at this session, and it's for the position of Berkeley City Council District 4. It's a short term to complete the term of Councilmember Kate Harrison, who resigned in February. District 4 covers the downtown and central Berkeley area. The winning candidate will complete the rest of Harrison's term, which ends in November 2026. There are 4 candidates for this elected office. They are Soli Alpert, Elana Auerbach, Rubén Hernández Story, and Igor Tregub. Ranked choice voting will be used for this election. This allows voters to rank candidates in the order of preference and eliminates the need for a separate runoff election. Voters can, but aren't required to, indicate their first, second, third, and fourth choice for this office. Some voters choose only one top choice. That's okay too. If a candidate receives a majority of first choice votes, they are the winner. If no candidate receives more than 50% of the first place votes, then the ranked choice process is used. The candidate with the fewest first place votes is eliminated, and voters who selected that candidate as their first choice have their votes transferred to their second choice. If they didn't choose have a second choice, then they don't have a vote in that second round. And then it continues with recounting until one candidate gets at least 50% of the vote. All candidates were invited to participate in this forum, and they're all here tonight. So we'll be handling questions for the candidates in this manner. Each candidate has 2 minutes for an opening statement, and following this, there are going to be questions, and they'll have 1 minute, and at the end, there'll be another 2-minute time for each candidate to offer a closing statement. Questions for the forum have been solicited in advance from the community and from our local league members. We've screened these questions to ensure that they're fair and unbiased and to avoid duplication and anything inappropriate. The order of answering the questions will alternate, and each candidate will have the 1 minute to respond. The chat function, as I said, is not active. Please keep an eye on the timekeeper screen. The clock will signal the candidates of their remaining time and when their time is up. As a moderator, I may verbally give prompts as well. If you go over the time limit, I will remind you. You may finish a sentence, but please try to make that short. If you violate the ground rules, you may be prevented from answering future questions, be muted, or removed from the forum. There are no separate rebuttals. Following the questions, I said each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. So the order of the candidates has been randomly assigned, and we're going to begin with opening statements with Soli. So go ahead, Soli.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the work of the League in hosting this forum and so many other events in our community. My name is Soli Alpert. I'm currently the vice chair of the Berkeley Rent Stabilization Board. I served as legislative aide at the city of Berkeley from 2017 to 2022. And I'm one of the reasons I came to Berkeley originally as a student at Cal was because of the incredible history of our community and both the campus and the city as a place where progressive change has happened, where we've done national firsts. We were the first in the nation to be a sanctuary city for folks fleeing the Vietnam War draft. We were the first city to do curb cuts so that folks could get on and off our sidewalks if they were disabled. So many things we were the first city to do. And as someone who's been both an advocate and an activist at City Hall, a legislative aide inside City Hall, a rent board commissioner, negotiating with City Hall around policy, I've seen a really troubling culture emerge, both at City Hall and within senior management in Berkeley, that wants to uphold our historic progressive firsts as accomplishments of our past, but doesn't value passing new progressive firsts for our community today. They often say, oh, well, we need to focus on the nuts and bolts of governance. And yet I don't think that we are delivering nuts and bolts of governance. And so what I want to do as a council member is remove the false dichotomy between those two things. I think that we can do both. We can be a city that has safe paved roads, that has safety for all, that has affordable housing, and we can be a city that does new progressive firsts and continues to be a city on the cutting edge of what is possible and feasible in our community, in our nation, in our state. And so, I believe that I'm the candidate with the most diverse range of experiences. I'm proud to be endorsed by Councilmember Kate Harrison and a supermajority of District 4 city commissioners. And I'm hoping tonight to earn your vote as well. So thank you so much and look forward to answering questions.
So next we'll go to Igor.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. And happy International Workers' Rights Day and Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I'm Igor Tregub, and I am running to continue my long-standing work of building bridges, healing divides, and working for Berkeley we can all call home. Just like our beloved community has been home to me, a refugee from Ukraine. I am the only candidate in this race with over 20 years of service to the Berkeley community. Since first being appointed by former District 4 Councilmember Donna Spring to the Commission on Labor, I've served on 12 commissions, 6 of them as chair. I've been on 4 oversight bodies, and I've spent 8 years on the rent board. There is no part of the district that I have not improved through my volunteer efforts over these years. I've created nearly 90 units of affordable housing for the unhoused at the Hope Center, a revolutionary project on Berkeley Way. I've helped countless small businesses remove red tape to make it easier for them to secure permits and expand their hours. I've led efforts to revitalize the downtown arts district and create affordable housing for artists. Moreover, I have the temperament for this job. I have a track record of listening to and respecting diverse opinions and bringing people together to move forward and overcome challenges. To move forward with bold, innovative ideas. I'm running to partner with you on a downtown that will become a vibrant and joyful destination that is safe, easily to get to, and full of thriving local businesses and arts offering, and much more. I look forward to answering your questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we go to Rubén.
Hi, my name is Rubén Hernández Story. As a Mexican immigrant and the first in my family to graduate from college, I'm running in order to give back to the country and the Berkeley community that has welcomed me and my fiance with open arms. Throughout my 8+ year career, I've worked as an experienced and dedicated public servant in congressional, state senate, and local offices, local government offices, including here in Richmond and Berkeley, where I currently serve as a legislative aide. I worked to advance a number of initiatives that range from gun violence prevention to criminal justice reform, creating affordable housing, developing the Berkeley Green New Deal, expanding bus and ferry service, and improving street safety for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers as well. I'm running because I want to continue the fight to address the housing supply and affordability crisis and protect renters like myself, to advance the city's climate action plan and reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, to provide compassionate care for our unsheltered neighbors, to revitalize our downtown and increase worker protections, and to strengthen community policing and accountability. It's through my time that I'm proud to have been endorsed by various groups and individuals, such as the Sierra Club, the Berkeley Democratic Club, Berkeley Neighbors for Housing and Climate Action, the Firefighter, Carpenter, and Building Trades Unions, Alameda County Sheriff Yesenia Sanchez, BART Director Rebecca Saltzman, East Bay Regional Parks Director Elizabeth Eccles, the East Bay Stonewall Democratic Club, the East Bay Young Democrats, our mayor and a supermajority of the city council, and various other current and former Berkeley and East Bay elected officials and District 4 community leaders. Thank you so much for hosting this forum. I always look forward to what the league puts out every election cycle. So yeah, thank you for having all of us here tonight.
Thanks. And Elana?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate being here. I'm Elana Auerbach, and I'm running for the Berkeley City Council so we can reclaim our city for the people and bridge the divide that has often separated us from one another along the artificial lines of class and race. Many neighbors and friends urged me to run for the vacated District 4 seat. Given my years of on-the-ground advocacy and activism and the vast network of local community organizations and causes I've rallied behind and advanced, along with my background in mediation and facilitation, as well as a career in finance, I've dedicated myself to serving our community in many, many ways. As a member of the Berkeley Community Safety Coalition, I was on a committee that created the template for what would become our specialized care unit, our first responders to non-criminal mental health and substance use crises. With assistance from Christina Murphy of the Options Navigators, we ensured that a 78-year-old unhoused, disabled veteran named Cadillac spent the last few weeks of his life in a nursing facility and did not die on our streets. I've also supported some of our struggling small businesses to stay afloat, including the Berkeley Community Physical Therapy Clinic, which is the only PT clinic in Berkeley that takes Medi-Cal. We can and must create actual affordable housing for working people. We can and must revitalize our downtown. And if we want to reduce crime, we must address the root cause of crime, which is poverty. And there are proven community-centered public safety initiatives that will do this. You can count on me to have the courage of my convictions. I have the experience to help build an environment of trust and respect in our local government. A vote for me is a vote for integrity, community, and compassion in action. And I do hope that you will vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you all. So our first question is going to go first to Igor and then to Rubén and Elana and Soli. So the first question, in your first year, if elected, what do you aim to accomplish for your constituents and community stakeholders? Igor.
Thank you. In my first year, I would like to put ourselves on a road to ensuring that this is a place we can all call home, regardless of who we are or economic resources, safe and accessible district in Berkeley for all modes of transportation, taking the first steps towards becoming the first carbon-free city in the nation, working to make sure this is a place where all ideas are listened to with respect, a city council and city management and budget that is responsive, transparent, and accountable to you, and a city that is fully staffed because employees feel valued and fulfilled with opportunities to move our city forward.
Thank you. Rubén.
Thank you. Yeah, currently as a staffer at City Hall, one of the things that I would love to bring to the table is really making sure that we're being mindful of what we introduce at City Council when it comes to, we have staff vacancies and we have a lot of amazing items that have already been passed, but they're just kind of sitting in the backlog. So what I would really love to see accomplished is paying close and care attention to helping city staff, helping management fulfill those roles so that we can move all the amazing things we passed already along. And that way we can continue to work on the issues of today and tomorrow at the same time. So, really working to, I want to see Shattuck and University Avenue really revitalized so that we can diversify in our revenue sources. I want to make it I want to make it where people feel safe of all ages and backgrounds to be downtown, to help our small businesses thrive. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. And Elana?
Yeah, so much to do. I would simultaneously focus on the needs of District 4. On my website, elanaforberkeley.com, we have a D4 page that has listed, and we continue to add to it, all of the things that the neighbors are saying that they need. Speed bumps on Grant Street, a new light at the intersection of Haste and MLK, and lots of details for our neighbors in District 4. We also need to create a UC Berkeley accountability board so that UC Berkeley is accountable to the city. I also would create an oversight for our city manager. We need a city management overhaul. And so quarterly review. The city council is meant to be a board of directors and oversee our city manager. I would also like to revitalize our small businesses. Tons of ideas of how we can revitalize our downtown are on my website. I'd also like to create a safe stay sanctioned encampment, which is the most compassionate thing we can do for our unhoused community, our neighbors, and our business owners. Thank you.
Thank you. And Soli?
Yeah, thank you. 1 minute is not enough time for all the things, but I'll say 3. One is putting our city infrastructure, our roads, bikeways, and sidewalks on a path to being whole and functional. I'm excited to be supporting safe streets, but whichever of the ballot measures for infrastructure funding passes, I want to work with our community to implement and actually get those funds spent on fixing our roads and making all of our community safe. There's a crisis of staffing at City Hall. We have far too many vacancies. 2 of our city unions have declared no confidence in our city manager. We need to end this crisis of confidence with our senior staff and hold senior staff accountable to these high vacancy rates. And I want to implement a new progressive revenue measure for the city of Berkeley. Both San Francisco and Oakland have implemented progressive business taxes. I want to explore both those and adopt one, put us on the road to adopting a new progressive business tax for the city of Berkeley.
Thank you all. The next question will go first to Rubén, and then to Elana, and Soli, and Igor. Your predecessor cited a number of problems confronting our city, including key staff resignations and staff shortages, a failure on the part of the council to consider diverse approaches to solving critical problems, and a lack of kindness. How do you plan to serve as a council member given these apparent myriad workplace challenges and finish your term if elected? So Rubén.
Thank you. Yeah, so my goal will be to bring a voice to the council that is both progressive and pragmatic, and that is going to uplift all the voices in the district, including if we are initially on opposing sides of an issue, in order to ensure that everyone is heard in the decision-making process. As I mentioned in my intro, I think we really got to be mindful of staff capacity. I think that's one of the issues that we see at City Hall is that, if each council member, there's 9 folks and they're each introducing 3 or 4 items a year, that's already 36. That's a lot of work for staff. And at the same time, we do see some division. But overall, council has passed a lot of things throughout the last few years. I don't think that it's broken. I think sometimes we get into these, stress cycles because we are sometimes on different sides of the issues. But I think that's what you have to bring someone who's going to be able to work across the aisle. And that's why I'm really proud to be supported by a supermajority of the council.
Thank you. Elana?
For the past 4 years, I have been religiously attending these city council meetings and also writing about them in the Berkeley Times and shining a light on the lack of integrity, transparency, and accountability. And that is why I was urged to run, because those are core values. I am uniquely qualified because for years, I have supported people in collaboratively and respectfully resolving their conflicts in group format and in individual and couples. And so I feel like I spoke to the oversight needed for the city manager and an overhaul of the whole culture that we need to just clear it out and begin to set the ground rules of how do we want to speak to each other in a respectful way. We don't need to agree. We're not going to agree. We all are on but we can be curious with each other and we can understand each other and we can absolutely work together. And so that's what I see is going department by department and setting new ways of being, which will enhance the current workers and attract many new employees.
Thank you. Soli?
Thank you. Yeah, one of the really troubling things that I've seen at City Hall in my time, especially over the past few years, has been that there are some folks, some council members who really don't want to engage in open political disagreement, but will absolutely allow personal petty grievances to thrive. And I think that is the opposite of what we should be doing. We are going to have political disagreements in the council. There are things about which I disagree and things about which I agree with every member of the council. And I'm not going to shy away from expressing my disagreement with council members just because I'm in the minority or just because it's, I'm facing pressure. But what I will do is not allow the personal to get in the way of the political. That after a disagreement, we can all come together and work on the things that we agree on. I think that's very important. I also think it's important not to discredit folks who disagree with us just because they disagree. I think that, sometimes around issues of surveillance, especially, I've seen folks attacked as being NIMBYs for opposing surveillance. And I think that we should engage with each other on the issues and actually debate the merits rather than kind of name call.
Thank you. And Igor?
We do have a crisis of staffing and morale in our city. I have almost 2 decades of experience turning around organizations, big and small, that have faced similar challenges, including 12 years of managing oversight at a large agency, a multi-million-dollar budget and program. I will hold the city manager accountable to measurable goals and outcomes. I will ensure that we have participatory budgeting and other processes. At the end of the day, it's my track record that is important. An amazing Lejeune Alani leader, Karina Gould, has said this about me. Igor has a proven track record of healing divides in our community. He's a proven consensus builder. Now more than ever do we need him on the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question is going to go first to Elana and then to Soli, Igor, and Rubén. So residents in the southwest corner of the district have some of the poorest access to bay wheels in the city. It can be at least a 15-minute walk for some people. What is your plan to fix this? Elana.
Thank you so much for this question. In fact, I was talking today to supporting one of our neighbors in the southwest corner whose rent is getting hiked by $500 a month, which she is in supportive housing in her 70s. And then I got to meet some of her neighbors who told me, and these are all elder Black women who are saying that every day is a fight, every day for them. One of them was an Olympian. She represented our country in the Olympics and still is struggling with her day work, her helper that she needs to pay $100 a day to subsidize, and their rents keep going up. So there are a lot of issues that we need to do to support our elders and to support folks in the Southwest and to provide them with transport. If it's Uber or Lyft, whatever it is, we need to serve these folks and we need to respect and serve our elders. Thank you.
Thank you. And Soli?
Yeah, I guess I don't think that Uber or Lyft is a good substitute for access to bay wheels and other kind of bicycling options. When I worked at City Hall, we had a lot of trouble dealing with bay wheels. I mean, bay wheels is owned, or at least was owned, by Lyft. And I think that shows part of the challenge of having these supposedly, or what should be, public infrastructure owned by private for-profit companies. I think in the long term, we need to convert bay wheels to public ownership, which will be an option down the road of the expiration of the contract with Lyft. I also think that we should initiate conversation with Lyft about expanding the number of stations. Also, now that when we installed bay wheels, at that point we didn't have dockless e-bikes, and so we only had docked bicycle stations. Now that we have dockless, I think we should also look at moving to dockless or semi-docked bicycles as well. I also support expanding the subsidized electric vehicle program that the city initiated, or electric bike program the city initiated for low-income residents.
Thank you. And Igor?
Thank you so much. I agree with many of the points made by Soli around going, now that we have more options, and I helped advocate for that to happen. It is very important that everyone, but particularly the most vulnerable members of our community, have access to safe, affordable options. And so I will make sure that we continue to invest in alternatives to usage of privately owned vehicles, including programs like Bay Wheels and others. As someone who started delivering meals to senior citizens in our community during the pandemic and never stopped, it is one of the most rewarding things that we as a community can be doing to honor our elders. And I look forward to working closely with you to make that happen.
Thank you. And Rubén?
Thank you. Yeah, as a full-time pedestrian and transit rider myself, who's probably never had a driver's license, this issue is really top of mind. I'm part of that statistic in Berkeley that would ride a bicycle if they felt more safe. So I think one of the ways, besides a lot of the ways that my colleagues have mentioned about diversifying and looking at really enhancing our public share programs especially for our low-income riders, is really just further elevating the growing bike and street safety coalition that we've seen in the city. So really being forward thinking about our bicycle and pedestrian safety improvements. The more that we uplift that and bring in folks from all walks of life, I think that's where we can build toward really ramping up our funding for that, and then that way we can make it where folks don't have to be walking 15 minutes to get to a cycle. They can have it in their own front yard or just a couple blocks away.
Thank you. So the next question goes first to Soli, and then it's going to go to Elana and Rubén and Igor. So the question is, what are your plans to increase enforcement of traffic laws, traffic calming, and the problem of scooters and mopeds whizzing by unsafely?
Great question. In a lot of communities around the country, we saw a big decrease in enforcement of traffic violations after George Floyd protests, which is not acceptable. I think one thing that we can do and that I support is moving to civilianize many forms of traffic enforcement. You don't need a gun to enforce, for example, double parking, or many other kinds of traffic enforcement. There are kinds of traffic enforcement, like if you're driving 100 miles an hour down a city street, you probably need a police officer to go after you. But for other kinds, we don't need police. And removing that from the police department will free up our police to focus on serious crime and make it easier to work on pedestrian safety and traffic enforcement. I also support increasing the number of physical, built into the environment features to increase traffic safety. So it's both an active enforcement question and a passive infrastructure question. I support bulb outs, stop signs, and speed bumps, all as ways to reduce speeds.
Thank you. Elana.
Yeah, thank you for this question. I too believe in civilianizing our traffic. Traffic violations need to be enforced, but certainly not by our police officers, not by our sworn officers. They need to be solving the crimes and doing a thorough job with that. I believe in, we need more stop signs. We need more. I think there are several in the district where there are intersections where there's only 2 stop signs. And it's been requested by many neighbors that to make it really safe to be able to cross there, we need 4 stop signs. So stop signs, other traffic calming ways. And I think we also need to educate the community, because I have heard so many people curious about what is going on MLK, and that they're confused. They feel it's less safe. They don't know why that happens. So I think as we do traffic calming, we also need to educate the community and have some training about how we can drive in a safer way for everybody.
Thank you. And Rubén?
Thank you. Yeah, I to kind of reiterate from the last question, I strongly believe that we need to be supporting transit first policies and infrastructure, such as bicycle pedestrian safety improvements, bus rapid transit, pedestrian plazas, and transit oriented development. I think direct traffic calming infrastructure, it's what's gonna do the most to actually slow down vehicles and make drivers behave and drive a reasonable speed. And I think that's the biggest thing that we can do for our traffic calming. That's one thing that we can make people feel safe at the same time. And when it comes to the traffic alternatives, I am interested in seeing BERT kind of like the alternate traffic enforcement away from cops. I am interested in seeing where that is headed to. But in the meantime, really do, I think lots of times the victims of traffic incidents are disadvantaged communities, and that's really drastic and important to me.
Thank you. And Igor?
While scooters are a helpful mode to move around our city, I've also seen how dangerous they can be on sidewalks. One dangerous action could have life-altering consequences for our senior citizens and others. I would be interested in exploring lowering the maximum speed of shared scooters as one way to reduce the risk. And I also want to note, however, that it is rare that we hear of fatalities for motorists, but it hurts my heart every day that I walk by City Hall and there's a sign that says X number of days since the last fatality. And I will note that the most vulnerable communities have been the ones on bikes or pedestrians. I have made sure that we have more lighted pedestrian crossings, and I support that, putting up more stop signs and other barriers to driving too fast around the city. Thank you.
Thank you. So this next question will go first to Igor, and then to Soli and Elana, and then Rubén. Do you favor hybridizing all of the commission and standing committee meetings for those who can't attend in person? Igor.
I do. I have been in discussions with staff, having chaired 6 commissions, and I understand the budgetary and resource challenges around it. However, as chair of the Alameda County Democratic Party, hybridization of our meetings was instituted under my watch, and it has worked extremely well. I think it is an opportunity to hear from so many that may be in a vulnerable condition, health condition that, or for whatever other reason, cannot schlep all over to a meeting. Maybe they're working a night job or something else. This is a great opportunity. Incidentally, I have seen a reduction in democracy around public processes when Sacramento chose to abandon the call-in option. And I absolutely support making sure Berkeley stands apart from Sacramento.
Thank you.
Regard.
Okay, and Soli.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that we have to be conscious of our budgetary impacts and the staffing. So we'll probably have to do it in stages, but I do support eventually moving to full hybridization of all city commissions and committee meetings. It's important for a number of different reasons: for disability access, for those who are either because of illness unable to come, or because of they can't get out of the house; for equity, there are many people who want to engage but maybe at work or at school; for transparency, we want to make sure that all the decisions of the city, a lot of which happen in committee meetings and in commissions, are accessible to the public. I think it's also important for preserving the public record, right? The best way to ensure that we have a full preservation of the public record and a public participation is by recording those meetings and preserving them for posterity, for everyone to be able to view. So absolutely, I do support that.
Thank you. Ilana.
And I would say absolutely. I agree with everything that has been said. I think that the fact that I've heard that the Disability Commission and the Mental Health Commission are two of the commissions that have not had access, have not been hybridized. So yes, I fully support it. I think that we should start with those commissions like Mental Health and the Disability Commission that have people who are most needing to be able to call in to the meetings. And then it's an issue of equity, as has been said, and this will bridge that divide. So I absolutely agree with that. And I feel like this will also create more participation, because I think that that's what we need, is more engagement with the community, more democratic process, more town halls. And that's what I'm going to be doing, is bringing people together more, creating a deeper, wider, more expansive community here in Berkeley.
Okay, and Rubén.
Yeah, I also strongly do favor hybridization. As has been mentioned, it really does increase participation levels. We've heard at City Hall from members of the disability community on the commission, and the Commission on Aging as well in particular, that they were able to have more participation when they were able to use that. I understand that there are some intricacies when it comes to the state level and the rules surrounding that, but I would strongly favor to work with city staff, our partners in the legislature, to make sure that we can find ways to allow this to happen. There are lots of times when you have working people, mothers who kind of need that accommodation, people who would otherwise be able to take, let's say if they're out of the States, but they're able to take this meeting. It kind of helps with the process when you don't have to then try to quickly, fumble around, try to find someone else to go in their stead. So I think it would actually help some of the city processes as well.
Thank you. The next question is going to go first to Rubén, and then to Igor and Soli and Ilana. As you know, city council meetings have been disrupted due to protests of the ongoing war and humanitarian crisis in Gaza. In this situation, how would you work with your colleagues on the council and the protesters to find a path forward? Rubén.
Thank you. Yeah, I personally support calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, and have done so. And I believe that the Biden administration must take diplomatic action to secure permanent peace and sovereignty for Palestinians and Israelis. As for a resolution, I think I would only support introduce one after civil dialogues are held, where residents and community members and faith leaders can build that broader consensus. I think that's been sorely needed. This was an alternate that was proposed really early on, and I haven't seen really any movement on that until recently. Through the Peace and Justice Commission, it's my understanding. But at the same time, then there's still some holdups. There are folks who don't feel like they can participate in the process. There has been public heckling and harassment towards, Holocaust survivor. There's been theft of property, claims of things like "Long Live Hamas" and things that just don't really add to the benefit of everyone here at the city. But I would love to work together to create that process and actually draft something that we can all contribute to.
Thank you. And Igor.
Thank you. I too personally support a ceasefire, an immediate return of hostages, a move away from brinksmanship on both sides and towards a lasting peace and a two-state solution. I have been disturbed at how city council meetings, time after time, have played out. I have a track record of holding listening sessions, of bringing people together. I do that even though I share the trauma that many of us are dealing with. There is a war in my own homeland as well. I know what it's like. I know how to connect on a human level, and I will always be here to listen and work to bring the community together. Thank you.
Soli?
almost 100 cities across our country have passed resolutions in favor of ceasefire. Recently, the state of Hawaii passed a ceasefire resolution, and these cities are not, they don't have less conflict in Berkeley. They don't have less debate over these issues in Berkeley. I think it's been a grave mistake of this council, and in particular the mayor, to suppress debate on this issue for so long. I think that the tenor and tone of the debate would have been much better and have not gotten so bad if we had taken up the issue when it had been first brought to council. I'm proud to have authored the ceasefire resolution written by the Berkeley Rent Board that was passed. We managed to pass it without, all of the kind of anti-Semitic and racist comments and anti-Palestinian comments that have been seen at council. And I think that what has driven this has not been the issue of ceasefire. It's been people on both sides feeling like they can't be heard by this council. And so I would definitely be in favor of bringing it to the council and passing for vote, like so many cities across our state and country have.
Thank you. And Elana.
I feel that this is a reflection of the mismanagement, another way that our city council has been mismanaged. It has been poorly addressed. I am a recovering Zionist. I'm a practicing Jew, and I have been privy to the plans of a small group of Zionist parents and who have plans to use this situation to the benefit of influencing the curriculum in our public schools. And that has seeped into what's happened at the city council meetings. I feel like there has been more anti-Arab. There has been a lot of bad behavior, but it's because people are not being heard. And this could be done by strong, courageous leadership. And I absolutely believe a ceasefire. I've been calling for it since October 7th, and I would absolutely pass a ceasefire agreement if I get to the council.
Thank you. So this next question will go first to Elana and then to Rubén and Igor and Soli. What policy proposals would you introduce to support economic development and small businesses in the district? Elana. Elana first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love this question because having been a small business owner, I understand the challenges. And like I said, for years, I have helped local businesses, small businesses stay afloat. We need to revive our downtown so we can spend our money locally. And anyone knows you need to invest to then get the return. And so once we invest as a city by streamlining permitting, by move-in expenses, by implementing a commercial vacancy tax, by creating a small business incubator, and so many ways, by hiring the Small Business Development Center to come and mentor and train our current small business owners in whatever they need help with, marketing or accounting or whatever, so that we can create a more robust and connected small business community that's drawing more people in. And in the meantime, we need to have pop-up events of art and food and crafts and revitalize our downtown.
Thank you. And Rubén.
Yeah. With all the new housing and residents downtown, with even more to come, it's more important than ever before to truly activate our public spaces. I will support investing in efforts that improve our businesses' facades. They beautify our corridors with greenery, public art. I will support efforts that make it easier for businesses to start and grow with a wide range of options, such as community spaces, pop-up experiences, food trucks, permanent markets, live music and performances, and so much more. With the rich diversity and culture that we have here in Berkeley, there's absolutely no reason that downtown isn't full of life every weekend, celebrating what makes each and all of us very special. One thing I really would continue to do is really uplift and enhance the amazing work that our Office of Economic Development is already doing, such as their revolving loan fund that assists under-resourced entrepreneurs such as business owners of color, women, veterans, and they're supporting and converting businesses to employee-owned businesses. And recently, the department won an award for their zoning amendments to make it easier for businesses to start operations.
Thank you. And Igor.
As a small business owner myself, I intimately understand the challenges that small business owners face every day in downtown Berkeley and elsewhere to survive. I support and have worked on many of the council's ongoing actions, including modifying the zoning ordinance to support small businesses. That work actually follows on work that I started 20 years ago as a student to extend by right business hours. I absolutely support piloting new small business retention programs and expand programs like the Optima Business Bootcamp to provide education and advising to entrepreneurs, and supporting independently owned retailers with marketing, networking, and education. I look forward to collaborating with the business community and with the Berkeley community to bring back our theaters and bring back the joy to downtown Berkeley.
Thank you. And Soli.
Yeah, there are far too many businesses in the downtown that have left, that have closed because of rising rents. And we've often seen that the rising rents in those spaces don't result in the property owner making more money. Those units just sit vacant. And that is a big problem. I was proud to help author the the residential vacancy tax, the empty homes tax with Councilmember Harrison that passed overwhelmingly. And I would in favor of passing a commercial vacancy tax to address this kind of often speculative vacancy in our commercial space. I also support common sense solutions to public safety in our downtown to increase foot traffic. The Commission on the Status of Women and the Downtown Business Association have put forward the idea of the city paying for unarmed escorts between our BART station and the city's parking garage to the theaters in the downtown to make sure people feel comfortable. And I think that's a great solution. I also support investments in beautification and pedestrian accessibility in the downtown to make it a more welcoming environment.
Thank you all. This next question will go first to Soli and then to Rubén and Igor and Elana. Berkeley is dealing with a staffing shortage in all the departments. What role do you think the City Council has in alleviating this issue?
Absolutely. When I was a legislative aide at the City Council, I unionized my colleagues to join SEIU 10-1, and I served as a union steward and delegate. And I saw really unacceptable treatment of city staff by senior management, violations of the contract, just things that were not acceptable. And I had multiple members of my union come up to me and say, I love my job at the city of Berkeley and I am leaving because I don't feel respected by management. And that's not acceptable. That's bad for our city. It's not the right thing to do. It doesn't align with Berkeley values. So I think that the city council needs to ensure that the management is upholding our values, our labor values, our progressive values in the city, treating workers with respect, honoring the contract. I'm proud to be endorsed by SEIU 10-1, which represents over 1,000 workers in the city of Berkeley. And I know why workers are leaving because I was a worker there and they've told me as well. And so I will work with them to ensure that we increase staffing, retention, and hiring in the city of Berkeley.
Thank you. Rubén?
Yeah, to sound like a broken record, but one that we need to hear is just really, as a council member, holding each other accountable when you see some of that staff treatment that happens from council members, sometimes from city management, or sometimes from the community as well. I think having those difficult conversations with everyone involved, that we're all working together to make the city of Berkeley the great place that it is and the even better place that it can be. So really helping also proactively with staff, make sure that their needs are being met, that their benefits are where they should be, that their pay is where it's at, that they're not being overworked. So again, being mindful of how much work we throw their way while we're dealing with this vacancy crisis. And also, just as a council member, you are a big voice in the district and the community at large. You can constantly share job openings in the city through a variety of communications, whether in person, newsletters, social media. To me, you're a brand ambassador of the city, and you should be working to really elevate that.
Thank you. And Igor?
When I started my job that I held for 12 years at the Department of Energy, managing oversight of a multi-million-dollar program and budget, it was drilled into me on day one. Our staff, our workforce, is our greatest resource. when staff leaves, and sometimes it has left for lower paying positions elsewhere, it leaves a tremendous void in the city of Berkeley. I will strive to forge a culture of mutual respect with city staff and our elected leaders to make sure that the city is recruiting and retaining the best and brightest in our community that reflect the rich diversity of Berkeley. I will make sure that the city manager is held accountable, and I will also remind my colleagues that ultimately the buck stops with the city council, and I am ready to work on that.
Thank you. And Elana.
I have heard so many stories from staff members of the disrespect and community members. And we see the vacancy rate and the people who, the senior staff who are leaving. I believe, like I spoke to earlier, that we need a culture overhaul in our city. We need performance reviews. We need 360 performance reviews. We need exit reviews. None of this is happening now. We need good faith negotiations with our unions. That is not happening. We need to use our our city attorneys. We don't need to hire for who knows how many tens of thousands of dollars outside attorneys to negotiate with our unions. I will work with the city council and an expert third party to create clear, measurable quarterly goals for the city manager with rigorous performance oversight and accountability. I will help transform the often combative environment amongst city leaders, city staff, and even the residents into one of collaboration, respect, and effective governance.
Thank you. This next question will go first to Igor and then to Elana and Soli and Rubén. Given that the ban on natural gas hookups in new buildings to mitigate climate change and improve air quality was effectively overturned in the courts after the California Restaurant Association contested it, what actions do you propose taking, if any, to disincentivize the use of natural gas in buildings?
I love that question because I worked with a broad coalition on the first ever gas ban in the nation. Since then, over 100 jurisdictions around the nation adopted a way to make our buildings safer for their occupants. And not all of them have been done in a way that is preemptible. In fact, I am working as we speak right now on a pathway to get our ordinance back in a way that would not be preempted by a conservative part of a appellate court. I'm proud to be endorsed by 350 Bay Area Action, the Sierra Club, and the League of Conservation Voters East Bay because of this longstanding commitment to ensure that we can become the first carbon-free city in the nation.
Thank you. And Elana?
I will work to also help to have that gas ban be reinstated. And I believe that we can offer incentives to the builders to put in, to not put in natural gas, to ban natural gas from the new buildings with other options, with potentially some subsidies, with there are things that we can do. I believe that right now in this time of climate emergency, we have to look, everything we do, every project, every program, every development has to be looked through the lens of climate emergency. And how can we make this sustainable? How can we make this more resilient? How can we make this more safe? And so that is true with this gas ban. It was brilliant legislation. And like my colleague said, overrode by a conservative judge. And so we are not just gonna roll over. Thank you.
Thank you. And Soli?
Yeah, the natural gas ban was a huge accomplishment of Councilmember Kate Harrison's, and I am absolutely dedicated to bringing it back. The ruling against it was on narrow grounds, and there, as Igor mentioned, there are ways that we can restore the natural gas ban while obeying the misguided and wrong ruling of the judge. Additionally, I'm really proud to be supporting 2 ballot measures that are being gathered for signatures by SEIU 10-1, one of which would mandate that the city would increase air quality in city buildings, and another which would tax natural gas use in larger buildings in the city in order to fund climate equity work to help low-income tenants and homeowners with climate retrofits, solar panels, insulation, electrification, and things like that. If elected, I would move to have the council introduce both those items themselves so that the signature gathering would be unnecessary and that we could immediately adopt. The air quality could just be adopted by the council, and the natural gas tax could be placed in the ballot by the council.
Thank you. And Rubén.
Yeah, I think one of the ways that we can so I strongly support revisiting and fine-tuning that natural gas ban. One of the concerns I've had is when we talk about the process and how do we bring in different stakeholders is that a lot of these issues were brought forward by merchants, by the restaurateurs in downtown Berkeley, who had concerns with the way it was written. So while I understand that we want to always be a city of first, this is costing us a lot of money in the legal system. And so I think one way is just really being mindful of when we're working together to make sure that all voices are being heard, and that we are definitely working to disincentivize natural gas ban or natural gas as much as possible, as it's the second largest source of our greenhouse gas emissions after transportation. So definitely count me in to have those tough conversations and find a way forward.
Thank you. So the next question is going to go first to Rubén and then to Soli and Elana and Igor. With regard to the city's aging infrastructure, what is the city doing right and what should be improved upon? So Rubén.
Can you repeat that? That was kind of cutting
Sure.
in and out for me.
I'm sorry. It's about the city's aging infrastructure. So what is the city doing right about the aging infrastructure and what should be improved upon?
I think there's a lot that we can do. It's hard. That's a hard question. I will be guided by the city's strategic asset management plan and Vision 2050 framework, which seeks to reduce the large unfunded infrastructure liability that we have by doubling capital expenditures. Much of our infrastructure was built in the 30s, and our funding need is well over $1 billion. Several local plans are being implemented, updated, or prepared, such as the climate, street surfacing, bicycle pedestrian plans, and so much more. Our pavement condition index is at 57. That's why we're working on amazing items like the Berkeley Citizens for Safe Streets measure that will fund a lot of that and bring our sidewalk score way up, make it easier for folks. So really work between this and our parks, sewers, facilities, stormwater, and so much more. We need to be supporting an organizational structure that is integrated with the capacity to deliver while providing independent oversight and reporting.
Thank you. And Soli?
Yeah, I was very supportive and glad to see the council significantly increase the allocation of general fund revenue to infrastructure, street repair, bicycle safety over the past couple budgets. Also, I was very much in favor of a budget rule adopted by introduced by Councilmember Harrison and Councilmember Taplin, which requires that Uber and Lyft tax revenue go towards pedestrian and bicycle safety, and I would want to continue that policy on the council. We are in the place we are with our paving quality because of, I don't want to pass the buck, but a historic lack of investment, and for many, many years, decades. And so it's going to take a lot for us to get out of this hole, but we can do it. I'm very excited, as Rubén mentioned, the Safe Streets measure will be a critical way for us to tax in a progressive way that taxes homeowners less than businesses to invest in our streets, sidewalks, and public safety for pedestrians, bicyclists, and everyone else in our community.
Thank you. And Elana?
Yeah, another reflection of the mismanagement and fiscal irresponsibility for really decades. And yes, we have close to $1 billion worth of repairs on our streets and sidewalks. And the good news is that we can create more inclusive streets. and safer sidewalks. Our sidewalks are really an abomination for people who are disabled. It's very, very dangerous. So that's the good news. So now we've just got to pass one of the ballot measures so that and allocate funding in this funding cycle and continue to allocate funding until we have really upgraded our infrastructure. I believe that we need to also look to Vision 2050. There were brilliant people who were involved and experts in the field who created this Vision 2050 document, and there is a plan for implementation. And so I would bring that back to the fore so that we can use the time and resources and expertise that was already invested in envisioning the solutions to this problem.
Thank you. Igor.
I strongly support the council's previous vote to invest a historic amount of money into at least stopping the continued decline of our aging infrastructure. So we are now at 57%, and the goal is to get to a pavement condition of above 70% and beyond. So that's one thing that has gone well, I guess. But one thing where I see a lot of opportunity for improvement is around transparency and notification. And I hear about this every day when I'm talking to neighbors on Milvia that were not notified about construction going on. I feel that some of the divides around what happened with Hopkins Street was also emblematic of that. I am the candidate that can bring all sides together, although I do strongly support the Safe Streets initiative myself.
Thank you. So the next question is going to go first to Elana and then to Igor and Rubén and Soli. Some voters feel there is a lack of transparency and don't know how the city is spending funding. Do you agree or disagree that there is a transparency problem? And if there is a problem, what steps will you take to address it?
Thank you for this question. I do believe there's a transparency problem. I believe there's a transparency problem also in not only where the funds are going, how are they allocated, who determines the priorities. I really believe that the priorities need to be set by the community and what are the needs of the community, and not what our city leaders think we should be spending money on. For instance, our fire department is in desperate need of modernization. Our firefighters don't even have an effective way to detoxify themselves after they've been fighting a fire. And they needed the training tower that they've been using for many, many years is no longer relevant to what our city has become with all the building So yes, we need transparency, and how will we do that is disclosing it online and being very upfront and overt about it with our constituency.
Thank you. And Igor?
I appreciate the incredible amount of work that staff puts into the budgeting process. And if elected, I will be ready on day one to support staff and support our community in helping craft a plan for participatory budgeting. I hear this every day at the door. I hear folks beating their head around against a brick wall, trying to find out important documents, where they're housed on our IT system, even after the overhaul. Budgeting should be a roadshow. It is our obligation in the city of Berkeley to go to the people and hear of their concerns, to go to places of worship, to speak with small businesses, to speak with other community stakeholders, and make sure that their input becomes a reflection of our collective values in the budget.
Thank you. And Rubén?
Thank you. Yeah, I would, I wouldn't say that it's a transparency issue, although I'm going to continue to work on that and make it more accessible to the community and to our stakeholders. as a staffer, it's hard, and like just to run a city is very difficult, especially when we have sometimes outdated systems, and our websites they improve every couple of months or years, and really working on how do we streamline that, I think is the best way possible. So, ensuring that there's a transparent annual budget process, which we're about to be in the middle of, I think is very important. How do we get that message out to the community, whether that's through constant town halls with individual neighborhoods, business owners, our unions, everyone that's really involved in making the city what it is. I think it's really working to uplift each other and make sure that we're working collectively as a council member to check in with our staff to see how can we help with the budget process in terms of like the mechanical part of it. Thank you.
Thanks. And then Soli.
Yeah, I do believe that there is a transparency issue with the city budget. I think that, one of my favorite audits that the auditor conducted in the past few years was the audit of our police overtime budget that revealed a lot of very problematic practices, and a lot of money from other parts of the budget, including staff savings, were being funneled into the police overtime budget, and that was not money that was being well spent. And so I do think that there is a problem of a lack of transparency. I think that obviously our staff at the city of Berkeley and our management are going to have the best picture of the overall needs and structure of the city. But I think that there has been the budget practices which have improved, but not enough, are far too often senior management coming with a budget to the city and saying, here's what we're going to spend money on. And then the council has a little bit of money to play with around the edges. And I think that it is very important to make sure that our budget is aligning with our community values and that the public understands how, where, and why our money is being spent.
Thank you. So this next question is going to go first to Soli and then to Elana and Igor and Rubén. What will be your approach to addressing our local affordable housing crisis and work on a regional level? So, Soli.
Absolutely. One of the first pieces of legislation that I helped Councilmember Harrison with when she was elected and I became a legislative aide in her office was increasing the affordable housing requirement for new construction to a level that was identified as feasible. Previously, the council had discounted the fee below what the study had suggested. And then recently, the council voted yet again to reduce the fee below what was identified as a feasible level for developers to pay. And that was an 8-1 vote. Councilmember Harrison was the only member of the council who voted against that decision to reduce affordability requirements for new construction. So I'm very proud to be endorsed by Kate, and I want to bring that perspective back. We have done a good job of building market rate buildings in Berkeley. Quite frankly, we've regularly exceeded our RHNA targets for market rate housing in the city of Berkeley. And we have fallen very short on middle income housing and very low income housing. I want to make sure that we are that developers are paying their fair share and that our fees are going to building affordable housing throughout our community.
Thank you. Elana?
We need to build actual affordable housing for working people, teachers, seniors, veterans, office workers, people on Social Security, and others making mid, low, and extremely low incomes. And we can do this. I would like to get rid of the in lieu fees and mandate that the developers build affordable units, because this will be a bridge to bridge the artificial divides of class and often race within buildings. I also believe that we need to lean into innovative financing models and partner with values-driven developers and also foundations and other ways to build affordable housing and not just non-traditional partnerships. I also know that there are community members who have been creative and have created shared ownership models, co-ops, all different types of things we can do as a community if we come together and look at this creatively and innovatively.
Thank you. And Igor?
I strongly support and have worked on all 3 Ps of housing. Production. On the Zoning Adjustments Board, I have approved over 10,000 units of new housing at all affordability levels. To the Housing Advisory Commission, I helped craft, campaigned for, and helped pass Measure O, a $145 million affordable housing bond. I have also worked on spurring missing middle housing and accessory dwelling unit construction. On the rent board and elsewhere, I have worked on protecting sitting tenants, the second P, including strengthening the demolition ordinance. And I have worked on preservation of naturally occurring affordable housing through land trusts and measures like Measure U1 that is going into the city budget at a cost of, or to the tune of $6 million a year. I support regional solutions like the 9-county Bay Area bond and will strongly campaign for it.
Thank you. And Rubén.
Yeah, our housing supply and affordability crisis is what's driving our homelessness crisis. These problems, to me, have one overarching solution, which is an all of the above approach of building more homes of all types and of all income levels. Subsidized below market and new multifamily housing should be prioritized for high resource neighborhoods, high resource exclusionary areas that were formerly, like single family home neighborhoods. Moderate income middle housing and starter homes for first-time home buyers should be everywhere in the city, with more dense transit-oriented development along our commercial and transit corridors. In cities across the country, including Berkeley, we've seen the evidence that when we increase our market rate housing, we are reducing real housing costs across the income spectrum. This is really important because the cost of building subsidized housing, affordable housing, is also increasing. So without that downward pressure on the market, public subsidies will not be able to support as many low-income households. So regionally, yeah, I really strongly support the bonds, and I want to work to also on that ballot initiative that will lower the future threshold from 2/3 to 55% to pass any future affordable measures bonds.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is going to be our last question, and it will go first to Igor and then to Rubén and Soli and Elana. What will you do to ensure districts work together comprehensively so different needs are seriously considered when voting on policies that impact all the residents? So, Igor, you're first.
I know that it takes 5 members of the council and any fully staffed commission for that matter, and I served on a few of them, to get things done. I will always be respectful and attuned to the needs of districts that I don't represent. I will also take the lead, if elected, in representing your needs in District 4. Many of the issues we work on, the problems are multifaceted, and the solutions impact more than one district. I will always listen. I will always partner. I will always collaborate. My training as an engineer who is now working on advancing statewide policies, I know from that experience, it takes all of us to craft win-win solutions, and I look forward to working with every one of you.
Thank you. And Rubén.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the fact that I have the endorsement of the mayor and the supermajority of the council. I think that's really telling as to how we need to be able to work together even when we have disagreements. When we are working for any part of our district, we really should be mindful of how this is going to impact the city as a whole. District 4 is a very unique district. It has the heart of our city, the downtown, and that has impacts that ripple elsewhere. When we really work to enhance our downtown and make it more profitable, that helps fund initiatives for all the issues that are impacting us citywide. That's our safe streets, the conditions of our roads, our parks, and so many other issues. So really working together to have constant check-ins with council members, with Brown Act compliance, and making sure that we are working, collaboratively on a lot of issues. There's so many things that overlap, and we do see the sense of camaraderie, despite how some others feel. Is there are times that are bad, but there are times that are really, really good.
Thank you. And Soli?
Yeah, as the vice chair of the rent board, elected twice in the citywide elections, I've had to campaign throughout our community. But I guess I reject the framing that coordinating and working on behalf of the whole city means working just with the council members who represent each district. that there is more to the council, each council district, than the council member. And, that's why I'm really proud to be endorsed by a number of organizations that represent broad swaths of our community. I'm endorsed by SAU 10-1, East Bay DSA, the California Working Families Party, the Berkeley Tenants Union, the Wellstone Democratic Renewal Club, Our Revolution East Bay, National Democratic Socialists of America, the Cal Berkeley Democrats, YDSA, Telegraph for People, Berkeley People's Alliance. These are all community-based membership organizations that have members in every part of our city. And, obviously representing District 4 means listening to District 4 residents. I've never run for a council seat in any other part of the city and don't plan to. But it also means effectively serving on the council means coordinating with and working with movements, organizations, and people throughout our community.
Thank you. And Elana.
Well, we all know that borders are arbitrary. And yes, they're useful. And we all are Berkelians. And we are a community. And I am committed to having everyone who lives, works, and studies here in Berkeley feel like they are part of this community. And absolutely will I be holding regular office hours. I'm now holding coffee hours twice a week to meet with neighbors. And so I will continue to do that and continue to respond to specifically the residents of District 4, but everything. We need to revitalize our businesses everywhere, not only in the downtown. We need to deal with our unhoused situation, with mental health crises on the street, with community-centered public safety initiatives, all of these things, tenant protections, actual affordable housing, all of these issues are citywide. And so we have to address them all together. Thank you.
Thank you. Before the candidates offer their closing statements, I have a few reminders. We know that not all of the questions have been addressed. The screeners combined similar questions of general interest, and we tried to make sure we covered a variety of topics. We hope you will contact the candidates directly for additional information. Your local league also participates in Vote 411, which is an online collection of candidate information, and we encourage you to view candidate information there. It's vote411.org/CA. If you've moved or changed your name or wish to change your party affiliation since you last registered, you need to re-register. You can do that online. It's available at the Secretary of State's website, sos.ca.gov. It's secure and it's easy. The deadline to register to vote in this election is May 13th. Alternatively, you can register with paper applications, which are available at any public library, a post office, the DMV, or the city clerk's department at 2180 Milvia Street. Paper applications have to be postmarked or hand delivered by 5 p.m. on Monday, May 13th to the Alameda County Registrar of Voters, which is in downtown Oakland. You can also register to vote on Election Day and vote provisionally. The vote by mail period opened already, and it started on April 29th. You can vote in person or at a vote center by mail, or place your ballots in the official Alameda County ballot drop box. Whichever you choose, please remember to cast your ballot on or before Election Day, which is May 28th. Thank you to the candidates for participating this evening, and thank you to all the audience for taking time to become an educated voter. We also have many volunteers participating and want to thank them for their help. You are welcome we welcome and encourage you all to join the League of Women Voters of Berkeley, Albany, and Emeryville, and in doing the hands-on work to empower voters and defend democracy. Please remember to vote by May 28th. Thank you. The candidates will now make their closing statements, and we're going to begin with Elana.
Thank you. I have said the values of integrity, transparency, accountability, and compassion are what I am committed to bringing to the Berkeley Council. Not only do we need to build bridges within our community and amongst city staff and our city leaders, we need to shift from the status quo of overbuilding market rate housing and continually emptying downtown. And I represent that shift. I am running as a change agent to bring new ideas, to stir things up, and to create new relationships. I will work with all the sitting council members and all the new council members come November. I have the experience and the skills to hold our city management accountable and not back down until we've repaired the broken systems and begun to build bridges of trust and respect. I have a lot of experience mediating disputes and ensuring follow-through on commitments made. I am extremely honored to be endorsed by the Friends of Adeline, by the Berkeley Tenants Union, by the Green Party, by Karina Gould, Jovanka Beckles, former council member Cheryl Davila, Max Anderson, and many, many community leaders and teachers, and many in the community who are on the ground, who are trying every day to make Berkeley better, to make Berkeley kinder. I will be the voice of and for the people of District 4. A vote for me, I guarantee you, is a vote for integrity, community, and compassion in action, building a beloved community here in Berkeley together, one relationship at a time, one piece of legislation at a time, one meeting at a time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rubén.
Thank you. So, growing up in a region with little to no opportunity for economic advancement and where my politics were not welcomed by the legislative majority, I always dreamt of a life here in California. Fast forward to today, I'm in a union job where I can fight for a better life for my fiance and I. I'm running because we have set roots here in Berkeley. As a Mexican immigrant and a first-generation college graduate, I grew up in Section 8 housing with a single mother. These issues are real to me. I know firsthand the sacrifices that working people have to make to support themselves and their families. My mom currently still lives with my brother and sister in an apartment. We don't have that generational home ownership wealth. I'm committed to redressing the historic harm that has been done to marginalized communities and ensuring that the city of Berkeley and our partner institutions are accountable for uplifting and supporting the residents and the workers whose labor keeps us as a city afloat. As a public servant, organizer, and leader with over 8 years of experience at the state and local level, I am best positioned to build the coalitions and consensus necessary to advance the city council's legacy of pragmatic and progressive policies and reforms. My desire to serve the community that has welcomed me with open arms is what's driving this campaign. I care about the neighbors. I care about the community that I have been blessed to call home for the last 6+ years. I have the experience necessary to make the right decisions and the ability to bring people together amidst divides in our city. Decisions that are rooted in ensuring that our District 4 neighbors are heard and represented well. Thank you all so much again for hosting us tonight. If you want to learn more about myself, my campaign, please visit rubenforberkeley.com. That's RUBEN, the number 4, Berkeley.com. And I would love to earn your #1 support. Ballots are out. Reach out if you need any help or guidance on learn how to vote or ask the league.
Thank you very much. And Igor.
Thank you so much. I have a multitude of lived experiences. I'm a refugee from Ukraine and a fighter for democracy, a volunteer who has devoted half of my life to serving our beloved community. I'm a policy expert with a women-owned small business who has taken on the most powerful monopolies in the state for the right of renters and all those who have been left behind to be able to benefit from local, renewable, affordable, and resilient energy. I'm endorsed by over 100 leaders from our community, including the labor movement, the climate action movement, the housing movement, and many others, because they have seen my ability to bring people together and move our beloved community forward. These include Mayor Arriguin, majorities of the City Council and School Board, 8 current or former Rent Board commissioners, our supervisor, Keith Carson, our former Sheriff, Yesenia Sanchez, our State Superintendent, Tony Thurmond. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Sierra Club, the League of Conservation Voters East Bay, 350 Bay Area Action, and who have the second-rank endorsement of the Berkeley firefighters and the Alameda County Building Trades. But the support that matters most to me is yours. My over 20 years of experience serving the community that I love, building consensus, working across divides, and moving us forward for Berkeley we can all call home, have prepared me for this role. I will hit the ground running to serve you on day one, and it would be the honor of my life to serve you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at 510-295-8798. Yes, that is my cell phone. I'd love to hear from you. Or go to our website at igortregub.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then Soli.
Thank you so much. I am not just running for city council. I am running to represent District 4. District 4 is an incredible community of renters and homeowners, our dense downtown and, quieter, Mickey Spalding. We are a progressive district. We are a progressive community. And I'm proud not just to be endorsed by any member of the council, but by District 4 Councilmember Kate Harrison. Not just by any commissioners, but by a supermajority of District 4 commissioners on the city council. I've been a legislative assistant, an elected official, an activist, and a union organizer. I have a track record of actually getting into the weeds and writing the details of policy. I helped write the Fair Workweek Ordinance, which brings groundbreaking protections to shift workers in our community, and the Berkeley Vacancy Tax, which taxes larger buildings when they're vacant for a long period of time to help fund affordable housing in our community. I've been endorsed by a whole host of elected officials as well. Obviously, Councilmember Kate Harrison, Councilmember Cecilia Luna Parra, School Board President Ana Vasudeo, School Board Director Mike Chang, former School Board President Judy Appel, the Berkeley Rent Board Chair Leah Simon Weisberg, and many, many others. Berkeley is a very special place. And I believe, when folks run for office, wherever they're running for city council, they say, my city is unique. And I don't believe that about every city, respectfully. Not every suburban town is unique. Berkeley is a unique place. We have a unique place. We have a unique history. We've done a lot of things here, and we can continue to push the envelope to be Berkeley, not just to be any city, but to be Berkeley. I came to Berkeley because it was Berkeley. And so I'm honored to be running in the heart of downtown Berkeley, the very heart of our city, and I hope to earn your vote as well. You can learn more about me at soli.vote. That's SOLI.VOTE. Thank you very much.
Thank you all, and good night. And thank you all for attending, and especially thank you to the candidates for running and being willing to step up. Good night, everybody.